Do you guys want to know how to make money in horse racing? Well, that's what this video is going to be about. We are live right now, so go ahead and throw in the comments if you guys can hear me. But we're going to talk a little bit about horse racing, and I'm going to show you guys what you should be looking for in order to pretty much sway horse racing in your edge and give you a little bit of a bump on how to win when it comes to betting on the ponies. All right, as always, guys, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports, and if you guys just want to learn how to do this and pass all the mumbo jumbo that I'm about to tell you, just go down in the description and book a call, and you can work with me one-on-one. All right, but let's go ahead. Let's get over and let's get into it. First off, go in the comments if you guys like horse racing, if you guys enjoy it. Horse racing is very exciting to be a part of, to bet on, because you know if you're going to win pretty much within a minute or so. All right, so it's very fun to watch, very fun to be a part of. So throw in the comments if you guys like horse racing and what type of bets you guys do in horse racing, because that's kind of the first thing I want to address here before we really get into it. So the type of bets that you do in horse racing. So you could pick obviously who's going to win the race. You could pick who's going to come in second, who's going to come in third. You could pick if they're going to come in first, second, and third. You could do exactas, which means pretty much you're picking who's going to come in first and second in the same order. Exacta or trifectas, that are who's coming in first, second, and third in the order. Superfectas, where you pick four. So there's a lot of different type of bets that you could do when it comes to sports betting. When it comes to horse racing. So what do you guys like to do? Throw it down in the comments. I'm interested to see what you guys like to bet on when it comes to horse racing. All right, but I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I go after it and how I'm able to actually make money with doing this and being able to, bet on the horses. Because a lot of people in the industry, they lose money betting on horses. A lot of people do, all right, because they're doing a lot of stuff that maybe they shouldn't be doing. So first off, what I want to say is like an exacta, trifecta, superfecta, those are like pretty much your parlays. When it comes to like sports betting, comparing it, horse racing and sports betting, that's pretty much where your parlays come in. So if you can get an exacta, you're pretty much parlaying 2 horses. Trifecta, you're parlaying 3. Superfecta, you're parlaying 4 horses. So that's pretty much like where that comes into play. You could bet a small amount of money, $2-5 on a trifecta, and you can make a couple $100 doing it. So that's like your parlays when it comes to that. Me personally, I don't touch the exactas, trifectas, superfectas. I don't really do anything like that. What I usually do is I'll just bet on the horse to win in place. So I'll take one horse, and if it comes in first or second, then I'm able to make some money. That's what I personally do. All right, but I'm going to go in, I'm going to show you guys now exactly what it is you should be looking for, and hopefully this can help you become a better horse bettor, all right? And you can actually win some bets rather than just, maybe watching the horses and just donating your money. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get into it. All right, so how you're going to find your edge. Let's get down, let's get into it. All right, first thing. This is important, all right? So the first thing you want to find out is the trainer of the horse, all right? So what you want to do is you kind of want to go through a slate of, races, and you want to be able to see exactly which trainers, are training the certain horses in the race. Because I'm going to be honest with you, every race, there's multiple races every day, but when it comes down to it, there's usually only about 1 or 2 horses, maybe 3, that actually have a shot at even winning that race that you're going to end up watching. All right, and the reasoning behind that is because one is the trainers. So you need to find out who the best trainers are. When you find out who the best trainers are, those are the horses that are going to, give you that next level of an edge. Because if you're getting trained by the best if your horse is getting trained by the best trainers in the country, obviously they're going to have a better shot at winning than a horse that is not being trained by any of the top trainers in the country. So definitely when you're going through and you're looking at which horses to bet, look at the trainers. Look for the top trainers in the country. All right, you can see in the screenshot that I showed down here, your number 1 is Brad Cox, number 2, Steve Asmussen, number 3, Todd Pletcher, number 4, Chad Brown. These are names that, if you're in horse racing and you do horse racing, you know who these guys are right off the bat. You already know. Bob Baffert. These guys are very famous trainers. So if you have horses that, you see in a race that they're being trained by these guys, more than likely they have a better shot than people that are not being trained by them. All right, next thing, the jockey. So let's talk about the jockey now. The jockey is a very important part because why? He's the guy that's controlling the horse. All right, so you always want to have a top jockey on your horse, always, because that's the person that's going to be navigating the horse. That's the one that's going to know when they should break that horse, when they should, move to the rail, when they should break to the outside. that's very important, because if you don't have a top jockey, you don't have a really, really good jockey, then they can make mistakes. All right, it really doesn't matter about the trainer or the horse if you got the guy that's on top of the horse doesn't really know what to do and is making bad decisions. So very important, your jockeys. You want to be able to have top jockeys on your horses, and a lot of times that's where it draws a lot of money, because people will bet on horses just based on the jockey by themselves. Like they'll just, because, oh, it's a top, jockey that's going to be on there, I'll bet on him. But that's not the case. You got to have other things to correlate with that. All right, you can't just bet because it's the top jockey on a horse that you're going to take that horse. All right, the horse and the trainer might not be as good as who the jockey is that is riding them. All right, so you got to take other things into account as well. All right, I see some questions coming up. I can address one right now. Is horse racing consistent and profitable? Yes, it can be, as long as you do it a certain way. If you stay away from the exactas, trifectas, superfectas, you bet to win, place, show, stuff like that. If you just do those type of bets, and like I said, you refine it down to knowing, which horses have the best trainers, which horses have the best jockeys riding them, and then we'll get to the next version here of what I'm going to say. But it can be profitable, yeah. And you don't. Yes, you are correct, Tommy, saying that you do not bet every single race. You just don't. You don't. You only go through and filter through, because there are a lot of races on a day. Trust me, on like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there is a whole slate of races. There are a lot, and you don't want to be betting on every single one. You want to go through and refine and look for certain races. All right. Another thing that comes into play too when it comes to horse racing is the distances. So pay attention to the distances as well, because sometimes they'll have 5 furlong, 6 furlong, 7 furlong races, which are quick. Those are like the sprints. And then they'll have ones that are longer, that go a mile and a quarter or whatnot. So definitely pay attention to the distances as well, on top of looking at the jockey, on top of looking at who the trainer is. All right, next thing is line movement. I want to address this. Line movement is very important when it comes to horse racing. All right, because when you are looking at the odds, because horse racing is kind of different, from sports betting, as if you go put a bet in for sports betting, you're going to get that number that you put it in at. Now, here's the thing. When in horse racing, that doesn't happen, because it's pari-mutuel. So you go and put your bet in. Once you put your bet in, it does not matter what the odds were when you put that bet in. It matters when all tickets are final and the horse race starts going and it concludes, and how much money came in. Because you're not betting against the sports book. You're betting against everybody else on what they're putting money on. So the line movement kind of tells you where the money's going, and tells you if somebody's seen something in a horse last minute or whatnot. So me personally, like, I don't even put my bets in for horse racing until they're almost like right at the gate. Because sometimes this will happen, because if you've watched horse racing, the horses will be at the gate, and then one horse starts freaking out in the gate. They got to pull the horse out. Next thing you know, that horse was like 5-1. Now he's like 10-1, 12-1, because he just he acted up. Something didn't look right. And then another thing is when they're coming to the gate. So when they're coming to the gate, everybody gets to look at them, gets to see exactly what they look like. Are they preppy? Do they look healthy? Does this horse look healthy? Does he look like he's ready to run? You get to see things, so the line starts shifting right then, because people see certain things. So definitely pay attention to that. Pay attention to the line movement when it comes to horse racing, because it's very, very important. And you'll notice that a lot of the times, right, when they're about to come out the gate, right before, the betting is closed, right before it's closed, a drastic movement in a favorite or whatnot can almost tell you certainty that like that horse is going to win, almost. All right, it's very, like, I've seen it happen a lot, to where last second drastic movement goes, and that's the horse that ended up winning. All right, so definitely pay attention to that. That's very important. So let's go through the 3 things again that I want everybody to remember when it comes to horse racing. Make sure you're diving into. So first is the trainer. Make sure you have a solid trainer that is training that horse that you're going to put your money on. Always top jockey. Make sure there's a top jockey that is riding that horse as well. You definitely want that, because he's controlling the horse. So if he's controlling the horse, you want him to be able to control that horse and navigate that horse to give you the best shot at winning, right? And then pay attention to the line movement. Line movement is very important. All right, very important. It can almost tell you the story of people think this horse is a good horse, or they think it's not a good horse and something's happening to it. All right, so pay a lot, pay attention to it. You can make a decent amount of money on horses. You really can. If you know what you're doing, you can do that. Now, another thing I suggest is when it comes to horse racing, don't, be upset when you lose bets, because another thing you have to realize is, if you pick a horse to win and they're 3-1, that's plus 300 translating to sports betting. That's plus 300. So 1 out of every 3 times you're going to win that, you're going to win that race. So you can hit below 50% in horse racing and still be able to make money. All right? So it's very important to realize that, because if you don't realize that, you're not going to win every single race, you're going to start tilting and betting stupid stuff, and next thing you know, you're trying to bet every single race because now you've lost a couple or whatnot. So try to avoid that. Just realize that you're going to get, most of the time, you're going to get plus money on all these horses. Most of the time. Sometimes you'll be getting the favorite. You'll get maybe, minus 150 or something like that, maybe. Sometimes betting on the favorite. But most of the time, it'll be plus money. And most of the time, if you hit 45 to 50% in that range and you're plus money every time, you're going to make money. So don't shy away from, if you're hitting below 50%, because most of the time, like I said, it's plus money that you're betting on. But definitely, if you guys are interested in horse racing, you love horse racing. I'm going to be honest, I love horse racing. I think it is very fun to watch. I think it really gets the adrenaline pumping, because like I said, within the first couple minutes if you're going to win or lose. And, it's very fun to be a part of. So if you guys are interested in learning, exactly how to do this at a high level, I suggest you guys go down below in the description. Make sure you guys book a call so you can work with me one-on-one. I can show you guys how to exactly do it. All right, so that way you guys can have fun and stop donating your money to the sports books. All right, guys. As always, I'm Frank with Linemaker Sports. I'll see you guys.